On this episode of Put Up or Shut Up, we're attacking the road course with two very different machines. We have a classic American 1966 owner-built Pro Touring Mustang taking on a brand new 2017 Porsche 911 Turbo S. We have American hot rodding ingenuity taking on fine German engineering. It's time to put up or shut up and find out which one of these things can get around the streets of Willow faster. Today at Willow Springs Raceway, we have a matchup between two very different, but actually seemingly closely matched cars. We have Philip Tryonic's 1966 Pro Touring style Mustang, and of course a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo S. You know, a lot of times we think about Pro Touring cars and they're more faux touring cars, maybe a muscle car with a half a coil cut out of it and a large set of wheels, but this is not that at all. This is a highly engineered, badass race car, and it is going to be taking on one of the most iconic sports cars ever built. The Porsche 911 debuted in 1963, and the car that Randy Pobst will be driving today is a far cry from that machine that came back more than 50 years ago. The car he's going to drive makes almost 600 horsepower at the flywheel. The car he's going to drive has all-wheel drive, it has a gnarly PDK transmission in it, and it is designed to lap Willow Springs as hard and as fast as that man can push it. Randy's a championship road racer, and he's got good competition, because you know what? Philip ain't driving his car. He brought in another great road racer named Mike. We'll meet him in a little while. So it's that iconic battle between the American hot rodder and the highly trained foreign engineers on the Porsche. It is going to be an epic battle, and now it's time to meet the cars. All right, Randy, we are in this brand new, gorgeous 911 Turbo S Porsche, a car that you've had a couple days' time driving around it.
Yeah, I have, and it's comfortable, isn't it?
It is. It's just the only way to fly. It goes like hell. It's a 580 horse motor in the car, yes. And obviously it's all-wheel drive. So when we talk about horsepower, you're down a little bit because the Mustang supposedly makes about 600 to the wheel, but yes, grip-wise, you may be up on them.
And I might even have as much or more torque, because it's a twin-turbo flat six, and you know how turbos generate that low and mid-range torque. You bet. When you come on the boost.
3.8 liter engine.
Yes.
Wow, man, the brakes are unbelievable. Yeah.
Check that right rear tire.
It pulls out of the corner so freaking hard, man.
It does. The power is perfectly matched to an automatic transmission called a PDK. I don't shift it manually. I don't have to. It's better than I am, and I hate to admit that. Who says all-wheel drive won't drift?
Wow, that is awesome.
This is crazy running wheel to wheel. You know that, Brian.
I do, and that's why we brought you in, man.
Let's get warmed up a little bit.
Son of a gun. I didn't wear my brown pants today, man. Woo! That was frickin' awesome. We're in the 1966 Mustang, but the story of this thing is so much more than the tubing and the motor and everything else. Tell me about your personal history with the car.
I originally got it in high school from my mom, and then I just started playing around with it as much as I could at the time.
This car has an LS7 GM motor in it, and some guys are going to freak out about that, but the reality is there's some actual thought process behind that.
Right. Like I wanted an engine that was going to be light and compact, with a low center of gravity and that would allow me to have a low hood line for aesthetics and also for the aero.
What is the transmission in the thing?
It's just a basic T56 out of a fourth gen Camaro.
Whoa, dude, the brakes are insane. You were taking me on this drive because, after all, this is your car. But when it's on the racetrack next to Randy, you got somebody else turning the wheel.
That's right. I've done some SCCA club racing, but I'm nowhere near Randy's level. So I think to do the car justice, it needs to have a driver that could hang with him.
And I get a distinct feeling a lot of our viewership is rooting for the red Mustang over the blue Porsche. I'm just guessing. Well, thank you for the joyride. It is a whole hell of a lot of fun. Good gravy. Woo! Well, guys, I've had a chance to ride in both cars. Randy, I rode with you in the Porsche. I did have to change my shorts when we got done, but it was still a good time. Perfect. Mike, I did not ride with you, but I did get to ride with Philip, the owner of the car, so I have a pretty good impression about what's going on, and these things could not be more the same or more different. The same in the fact that they're both lightning fast, different in the fact that you have heated and air-conditioned seats and this awesome PDK transmission, and you have a vicious animal that's trying to kill you at every moment that you're trying to turn the wheel. Brutally fast car. You've been able to make some test laps, and you're feeling a little more comfortable than you were this morning when we got here?
I don't think there's anything that's gonna make me feel comfortable in that beast, but I feel a little bit better, yeah.
You know, you had a chance to watch Randy as he was hot lapping around. What did you see?
I saw air conditioning, I saw a big grin as he went through the corner, I saw a happy driver.
What did you see when you watched this beast go around the track?
I see potential. That car has got a lot of race car in it. It's got a powerful motor.
And it sings like the Vienna Boys Choir when it gets up on song too. A lot of revs. This is gonna be a lot of fun. You guys are the equalizing factor here. Real simple concept. I'm gonna run 3 5-lap heats, okay? Win the heat, win a point. Best 2 out of 3 is gonna win the contest. Between the heats, you can go back to the pits, make your adjustments on suspension, make your adjustments on climate control, or, you know, mop some sweat off your brow, whatever you feel like doing. Absolutely, change the radio station. For this first round, we're gonna do a coin toss for lane choice. So, Randy, as the elder statesman, you'll have the honor of calling the coin toss.
Deal.
Call it in the air.
Heads.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Where do you want to start, inside or outside?
Inside, please.
Mike will be on the inside for heat 1. You'll be on the outside. Best of luck, guys. A quick math calculation got what we believe is the flywheel horsepower of the Mustang, and when we look at both cars, they match up nicely. The Porsche leads with technology because it has that PDK transmission and the all-wheel drive, but the Mustang outpowers it by a ton and weighs a lot less. All right, so this is it. I've gotten to ride in both of the cars. We've gotten to meet the drivers a little bit, and it's go time. This is the first of 3 heats. We hope to be 3 heats, and fresh set of tires for Randy. He scalped the set of tires that was on there. Mike's also on a set of Hoosier race slicks on that car now. He ran some test laps earlier in the day on a lot less sticky tire. His confidence level is very high. Talking to Randy before they actually got out on the racetrack for this out lap, Randy's nervous, and not like fake nervous. Randy's like, I think I might be in trouble here. When he first got a look at the Mustang, he was kind of like, oh, okay, this looks fairly serious. The more he's actually seen that car on the racetrack, the more worried he's gotten. So they are making their way around the backside of the racetrack now. 5-lap heat, win the heat, win a point. Simple as that. Best 2 out of 3 gets the job done. Straight away from it. He had about 2 cars on him, and then Randy started to reel him in. This is going to be fantastic. They're coming right through the first couple of turns. Oh, Randy drove into that turn way deeper. Man, Philip's going to be chomping on his fingernails right now, watching his pride and joy out there. So Randy's, again, they're going to trade position, it looks like, a little bit on each of these laps. Randy's out in front now. This is not a 1-lap shootout. It's a 5-lap deal. The back stretch is going to be very interesting to watch, too. Here they go. Mike's gonna eat him up. Mike was way faster through that stretch, but had to lift. He had no opportunity to pass. So they're gonna come around the bank corner, which is real interesting because it's gonna slingshot these guys out. And the back straight is the longest part here, and you're really gonna start to see the horsepower. Both guys come out of the straight. Wait, wow, Randy actually put a couple of car lengths on Mike there. When we actually see what happens when they get into a more technical section of the racetrack, can Mike actually make up some room? Because right now, Randy's taking him to school. The Mustang's so loud, we can hear every iota of pedal movement that Mike gives it. You can hear him working the throttle real judiciously coming out of these corners. The one problem Randy had when we were making some hot laps earlier, and these were on the older tires, is that the car started to push a lot. Now, he's got fresh rubber on there for this session. The more those tires get worked in, the car could loosen up on him. Okay, Mike has closed the gap pretty well here. He is within a car length or 2. I'm wondering now if Mike was playing a little bit. Wow, he is right behind him. Okay, now we got an automobile race going on. Mike is on and off the throttle, with Randy, and this got real exciting all of a sudden. Randy had about an 8-car lead, and now they're in final turn as they enter the last lap. White flag's out. If Mike's going to get aggressive, now's the time to do it, as he is rapidly running out of real estate to try to finish the job here. If Mike has a fighting chance of getting around Randy, it's right here. This is the section of the racetrack where he's been able to get aggressive, but Randy's been able to hold the line and not let him by. And once again, you hear Mike having to get out of the throttle. He's carrying the speed. He just can't get around Randy. It is astounding to me that the Porsche is driving away on the straights. That's the one big shocker coming out of this. I thought for sure the Mustang, when they got to the straight portions of the racetrack, would be the one to watch. 2 turns left to go. Now they're going to come into the chicane here, zipping through that. And now they're going to try to close it up. First heat comes to the end right now. So Randy has taken the first 5-lap heat in the event. They're going to go back to the pits. We're going to catch up with the drivers to get their impressions. I'm not sure if Randy was having fun out there or driving for his life. We're about to find out. All right, that had to have been some fun, man. That had to have been some fun.
Wow, that was for real. I knew I had to attack early, and using the all-wheel drive to squirt out of there.
I was gonna say, it seemed like this thing does power out of the corner amazingly well, because there was a section top of the racetrack. I don't know if you could probably feel him back there, but he would tighten it up, and then you'd be able to make some room on him in the back straight.
No, I never noticed. Never noticed.
Yeah, so the question is, were you driving for your life or having fun?
That is all I have. That's all she has with me driving anyway.
You were right there, dude.
Man.
You were right there.
It was good.
How did the car change over the course of 5 laps?
I got a few more laps in it, as Randy pointed out, so I got to know the car a little bit better. Following him obviously helped me a little bit, but his start was amazing.
Wow.
Dude, that was a great outside move. That was awesome. That was fun.
Hey, I appreciate you not running me off the road.
One thing I gotta ask you is, you carry a lot more speed in that upper section of the track than he does, so you just didn't have the room to get around him there, right?
It was tough. I was waiting for him to make a mistake, and you see him slide a little wide, and I'm like, oh, there's not enough room, and I have to back out of it, and I was waiting for a bigger mistake.
You were right on my tail that last lap coming on the straight. Oh, I couldn't even see the headlights from the grill. That's when you know they're close.
Well, listen, I'm glad the first heat was so good, and I'm pulling for you in the second one so we can push things to 3 rounds. And I'm not rooting against you, Randy, but I'm rooting against you, Randy. Tweak on them a little bit, and let's get them lined up again.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right, boys.
Awesome.
I'll pick my radio station.
That was awesome. You know, the most truly incredible thing about these cars is both how different they are and how evenly matched their performances are on the racetrack. If you look at the Porsche's lap time progression in race 1, we could see a slight, and I mean a slight, fall off in performance by the time the car got to lap number 5. And this is likely attributed to the street tires in the car getting super hot, and Randy was literally driving the wheels off the thing. He was pushing it hard. Note that his peak speed during lap 5 was the slowest of any lap he ran, and the peak G-load of 1.43 lateral Gs was the lowest of any lap as well. Randy was losing the ability to carry as much speed through the corners he had earlier, and thankfully for him, this was only a 5-lap race. Now, Mike in the Mustang, he would have much preferred this to be a 10-lapper by the looks of it. The incredible thing about this data to me is the fact that the 1966 Mustang is pulling 1.68 Gs at peak in the corners, which is significantly more than a brand new all-wheel drive Porsche. Now keep in mind, Mike was learning a car he had never raced before in a course that he has not spent a whole lot of time on. He showed his skills quickly, basically matching Randy's lap time after the first lap, and he began to get quicker and quicker and actually equal him by the end of the race. Had Mike gotten an early pass in, this thing could have gone either way. I cannot wait to see how round 2 shapes up. You heard the guys talk after the race, and it was kind of interesting. Mike, although he was second out of 2, was pretty upbeat. He got very comfortable with the car by the time they were done. Randy used a little bit of racer experience, especially familiarity with this racetrack, maybe put one over on Mike at the start. He pulled a move that ultimately put him ahead of Mike, and Mike could never get around him again. That being said, if Mike is able to hold position on the start, I'm not sure Randy's going to be able to get around him. One of the things you heard Randy say was by the end of that session, he was unable to drive away from Mike like he had before, and that's got him kind of worried. Rightfully so. You want that thing breathing down your neck? I don't. and again, hammered down. Initially it's the Ford, and then all of a sudden it's Randy. So Randy comes into the first turn, again, the same way he did the last time, in the lead. Mike has more experience now. He may have some tricks up his sleeve where he can actually make a little progress out here. They made a quick shock adjustment on the Mustang. You can hear that, so Mike was trying to make an adjustment in order to get the power down better mid-turn and exit. We'll find out if that works for him as they work their way around the first half of the first lap. Here we go. Oh, Mike's on his bumper and really was in a couple of feet of him there before Randy was able to pour the coals on. Could be a sign that the Porsche is starting to loosen up like it did earlier. If that is the case, Randy's going to be in trouble. If that car is starting to get loose on him, Mike's going to chew him up alive here over the next couple of laps, because that's a condition that's not going to improve itself. It's going to get worse as those tires continue to kind of turn into grease. Uh-oh, big smoke trailing off the back. I think Mike locked up one of the brakes. Going to be real interesting to talk to Mike to find out how much the personality of his race car changed when they made those front suspension adjustments. Oh man, again, he's real hard on the brakes. So maybe that suspension adjustment they made, it may be unloading the rear end a little bit. If the car's diving a little more and taking some of the load off the rear end, it could be causing one of those rear tires to lock up. But man, he is breathing down Randy's neck. This one is not going to play out like the last one. Whoa! Man, they're door handle to door handle coming out of the corner. That is a drag race down the back straightaway. That is fantastic. Oh, Mike passed him. Wow, for the first time, the Mustang has just passed Randy. We got ourselves a race. For the first time this afternoon, Randy has got a big old 2-foot-tall wing in his face and a red Mustang in front of him. Wow. And you can tell how much more aggressive Mike was being. Randy's going to try to get around him on the inside. Not going to do it there. Nice. This is absolutely awesome. And again, this is the part of the racetrack as they come around that tight left-hander, come into the right-hand sweeper and get set up for the bowl turn up here. This is where Mike's car shines. He should be able to make some room here. He's always been faster than Randy at this part of the course, and he's faster than him again. What was once now 2 car lengths is now stretched to 4, and it might only get worse than that for Randy. Mike is beginning to stretch the lead. Oh, I'm sure Philip's got a grin on his face he couldn't take off with a chisel right now. The white flag is out and Mike is in the lead. Man, that LS7 in the front of the Mustang sounds incredible when it gets up on song like that. Unless Mike puts this thing into the tumbleweeds, we're going to go to round 3. He's just got a half a lap to make sure Randy doesn't get around him. Into less of a Porsche, more of a blue speck out of the back window of the Mustang. Look at this. Final turn up toward the starter stand. The checkered flag is out, and a 1966 Mustang just led a 2017 Porsche 911 Turbo S across the line first. It's another 3-round battle. We're gonna go down and talk to Randy, and I'm sure we're gonna talk to a very jubilant Mike down there, and he is going into round 3, in my opinion, as the odds-on favorite.
Wow, seriously, who could have possibly imagined that we'd have this type of fight on our hands? Now that Mike knew the course and the car a little better, the consistency that a professional racing car driver can achieve becomes apparent. The lap times are like carbon copies of each other. A minute 20 and a minute 21 over and over again, except for the moment where Randy made some room for Mike to pass him, and that cost him about a second. Slight miscalculation put Mike in the lead, and he never gave it up. Lap 4 was where Mike laid down the law. 1.56 peak Gs in the corner, over 120 miles an hour of terminal speed in the back straight, and a 120 lap time. Wild. Randy had the quickest lap of the 2 drivers during the race with a 1:19, but this isn't about hot laps, it's about finishing first. It's a wheel-to-wheel race. The lap times and speeds between the Porsche and the Mustang are just so amazingly close it almost defies description. Their top speeds were within 1 mile an hour of each other for 3 out of the 5 laps. But finally, you can see the G's are where the Mustang took this race, beating the Porsche in every single lap. This whole duel has been mind-boggling. But Stuttgart, we have a problem.
So Randy, this is not good, but it's not quite what everybody might be thinking right now. There's a hole in the radiator. It didn't overheat. It looks like it might have picked up a rock or something.
Yeah, you know, it's rocky out here in the desert, and sure that's what happened. The car did not overheat. It ran great. I mean, it's amazing how close these two are.
No, the matchup's insane. That's why this is tragic.
It was a heck of a race, and unfortunately, the desert got us.
Mike got you too. Mike.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, man. So, obviously, more laps means more comfort, seat time, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Were you more aggressive on the braking, or was it some of the suspension adjustments? Because we saw some tire smoke on hard braking.
Yeah.
Was that you being more aggressive, or was that the car unloading the rear end a little bit?
That was a holy beep moment. I was as hard as I could go, as often as I was driving the wheels off it. It was everything I could do. So.
Well, guys, we have a situation that we've never encountered in our short, loving history here in Put Up or Shut Up. We've effectively fought to a draw. One, you both won a round, and two, the lap times, at least from our unofficial timer, are almost identical to each other. Your steed cannot continue. And Philip, I think we need to bring you in. You're obviously the car owner here of the Mustang. As the proud owner of this thing, it has to put a smile on your face to see what happened out here today.
You know, I've never had it in a wheel-to-wheel head-up competition against a supercar like such as this one, and I'm really happy with the results. Like, I don't think I could have expected anything better. I honestly expected to lose just because I know that Randy's such a great driver, knows this track, and has been driving this car, you know, not just today, but at other times during the year, I think.
Well, clearly your engineering is your thing. We fought to a draw. You guys have argued to a draw, but there's only one way that we can really have a happy ending to this story, and that's for you to get in this thing and have some fun out here on a racetrack you're intimately familiar with.
Yeah, man.
Buckle up, brother.
Thank you, Brian.
Congratulations, Mike. You've
Thank
done
you,
very
Brian.
well.
Thank
Philip,
you.
built a hell of a
Thank you.
car, man.
Appreciate it.
So for the first time in Put Up or Shut Up history, we don't have a clear winner, and frankly, we don't give a damn. This was a heck of a show. An American hot rod hung with the Porsche the whole way through. We literally ran these things until their tongues were hanging out. Follow us on social media. Put Up or Shut Up Show on Facebook, Put Up or Shut Up Show on Instagram. We'll be back next time with more mismatched mechanical mayhem from another racetrack somewhere in this galaxy. We'll see you then.
I'm out of here, baby. Oh, that sounds so good.
So Randy is having some fun out there in the Mustang, and he is absolutely hauling ass. He is absolutely flying. We knew we wanted to drive the thing absolutely all day long, and when we offered him the chance, he couldn't have got in it fast enough. So, love the guy to death. Every day, this job's a pretty good day, but you're in California, the sun's going down, and there's a guy just caning a 66 Mustang Pro Touring car around. It's a pretty decent day at the office. Randy owns this place, literally, and now I think he actually owns this place. He ran, on our stopwatch, 118, way quicker than he went in the Porsche, which means if we could clone Randy, well, we should never clone Randy, but if we could clone Randy and put him in both cars, he'd kick his own ass. And he'd kick his own ass in a 66 Mustang. Pretty awesome.